Hello, this is genkipro from Save or Quit. Today I'm having a look at Jupiter Hell. It's a new early access game. It came out on Steam in early access a week ago at the start of August from indie developers ChaosForge. It's their first Steam title, and they bill it on the Steam store page as a traditional roguelike. Now to me, roguelike is hyphenated and an adjective, so I'm not going to use it as a noun, even though that seems to be the way people do it these days. And this sort of fits the bill. It has procedural generation, it's turn-based, it's grid-based, it has permadeath and various other bits and pieces. It's very limited in terms of character statistics, characteristics, attributes. There's very little range of items, enemies. The world is very repetitive at the moment. I'm hoping all of those things will get better as it goes through early access. Certainly they've got a fairly long early access period planned. I think the Steam store page says early access should last until the end of 2020. So it's almost 18 months. So there's a lot of room for improvement there, I guess, and a lot of time for them to improve it. We'll have a look at what's here today. You'll see in my review, it's being released about the same time as this video. I don't actually recommend buying it at the moment. It's very expensive for the content that's here. But it's something to watch if you're a fan of the genre. At the moment, it seems more like I don't know, I guess sort of like Doom converted to turn-based mode rather than a proper traditional roguelike game. That's coming from someone who's spent hundreds of hours, maybe thousands, playing Gangband and its variants, NetHack, Rogue, Warrior, all those old good games. I have a fairly large library of roguelike games in my Steam account. So I do have some experience with the genre. This almost fits, but it's a bit too limited at the moment. Alright, anyway, we'll jump into it. If you see other videos and screenshots, they'll probably have this terrible CRT effect. I left it on for as long as it took me to work out how to turn it off, and then I turned it off because I find it annoying. Some people might like it. Alright, let's have a look. We'll run through the tutorial. I'll try and keep my mouth shut so you can read. I can never keep my mouth shut for long. If you followed me for very long, you'll know that I'm a bit of a stickler for grammar and writing. The writing in this game is actually very good. I've only found a few errors so far. I've been playing for half a dozen hours. So that's good. I'm impressed. It could be a lot worse. It could be a little bit better, but it's a lot better than a lot of games around. So it talks about tactical positioning. The store page talks about strategy and tactics a lot, but actually they're pretty limited. It's like almost all the weapons are ranged weapons, guns. There's not a big range of guns, there's not a big range of enemies, there's not a big range of abilities or characters that you can play. You just don't have a lot of choice, so there's not much room for tactics or strategy. It usually amounts to, do I get bored and charge in, because there are some quality of life elements that are missing. You can't do repeated keys until an enemy appears, for example, so you can't run up a hallway unless you hold down the key, and then you always run into trouble. You can't wait for 20 turns or until an enemy appears, you just have to press the button or hold it down. Little things like that make it, I guess, frustrating to play and easy to run into trouble because you're getting frustrated and bored. I hope they'll add things like that as they play. Certainly they should be in a modern roguelike game. But the actual gameplay is really limited too. So really, you get cover from corners, you blow up some barrels, or you shoot things. They're your three choices. a bit later you get a choice of weapons, a few abilities, you can use them, but it's very limited. There's not much in the way of tactics available to you.
That hit the spot.
Sorry, I'm rushing through this tutorial. I didn't mean to. I'll pause a bit. So this is the Marine. He has a special ability, an active skill, which you can only use once per level, which is crazy. It basically makes it a gimmick rather than a useful ability in the game. His is that you can convert pain to hit points, which is nice, but you only get half of the pain. If they'd made that a cooldown skill, it actually would have been sort of cool. You could get a different playstyle, but as it is, homage to Evil Dead there, Bruce Campbell. As it is, all of the 3 character classes they have basically play the same, which is a bit disappointing. Can blow up barrels. There's no mouse control, which is a bit of a shame. I'm so used to dragging, zooming, rotating the map in modern roguelike games, obviously not in Gangband. But it's just so limited. It's like, the graphics are nice. Let me zoom in, let me rotate, let me see what's around the corner. I really want to, but the game won't let me, which is a bit of a shame. I hope they add that. They haven't mentioned any plans to. But it could be so much better if they did.
That seems to be the last of them, for now.
The voiceovers are, reasonable quality. But you might have noticed in the settings earlier there's a profanity level. I have got it set to normal, and it's ridiculous. There's so much gratuitous swearing. I mean, I don't mind swearing, it's okay, but it's just not necessary. Some of the things that they say are just stupid. Okay, so there are the 3 classes. Each one has a passive and an active skill. So the Marine gains health entering a new level. It says it heals faster too, but I haven't noticed that. Maybe it hasn't been implemented yet. Or maybe they're talking about the level, who knows. There's not enough explanation of game terms for a traditional roguelike, are there? Scout gets elevators revealed on the map, and stealth that you can use once per level, again making it basically pointless. It's like a get out of jail free card, but that's all. You can't really use it as a tactical element. The technician gets basically the same thing with a smoke grenade, and gets extra mods for weapons. I usually play the technician. Like I said, they're all much of a muchness. What should we call him? Let's call him genkipro.
What happened to everyone? Gotta find a way out of here.
So one thing the tutorial didn't tell us, it showed us the inventory screen. There's also an equipment screen where you can look at what you have. Up to 3 weapons in the Super Scout, you get 2 weapons. You can buy a slot with skills. You can find some armour. I believe they haven't implemented foot or head armour yet. I haven't seen any in about half a dozen hours of play anyway. And you can sometimes find items for your utility slot. There's your character screen. Oh, that music. The character screen is very limited for a roguelike game, as you can see. You don't get to see any of your characteristics. I haven't heard of any plans to add them. I really hope they do. This journal, presumably for quests, not implemented yet, and I'm going to turn off that absolutely awful music. Sorry, it's awful. It really gets to me, that one. The rest of the music's really good, but that one track is just endless, awful electronic rock. It's bad. It's not a good starting environment. It's really missing that quality of life feature where you can just wait until something appears.
Bang, bang, motherfuckers.
See? And this is with profanity on normal. It's pretty bad. Oh, just wait until your inventory's full. That's the best message. I don't know why you have to swear about your inventory being full, but this guy does. Grr. Survivability in the game does depend a lot on good old random number generators, RNG, but in this case it's mainly about when you find health chests, chests that drop medkits, because I've played like levels and levels where I haven't had any, and then I've played others where I find 3 in a level, and that really determines your survivability a lot. Okay, so when you level up, you pick a skill or an ability or a trait. They're called different things in different screens. Each class has a slightly different range, but they overlap a lot. There are only maybe 2 or 3 ones individual to each class. There's always this first one, which is skilled. It increases your character class abilities. Health, less pain, which is a modifier to your actions when you get hit. Swap weapons faster, more inventory, better chance to hit, 1 more damage. Faster pistol and SMGs. Extra mod slots, which I always get later on, but not early on, because you don't often find mods early on. And an additional weapon slot.
That's better.
Where are you? There's unfortunately no way to compare weapons either, so while we can come in and look at them, you have to manually pick them up, add them to your inventory or your weapon slots, and then compare the stats here. It gets a bit annoying later on if you pick up some weapons you're not very familiar with. I've played for enough now that I know which ones I like and which ones I don't. But if you do happen to find a modified weapon, presumably advanced weapon, or a calibrated weapon, then they're worthwhile picking up, checking, and dropping whichever weapon you no longer want. Inventory size is very limited. Carry 10. You can see ammo already makes multiple stacks. You can't carry extra weapons in your inventory, you can only carry them in weapon slots. There are all of these limitations that sort of draw away from what should be the focus of the game, in my opinion. It's a bit of a shame. I think it would be much more playable and enjoyable and less frustrating without those limitations, but it is what it is. It's still sort of good for a book.
Groovy.
Hey Bruce. I don't even know what modifiers you get from hiding behind cover, but it seems to make a very big difference. They really should have a screen where they tell you. Or show it on this main screen there somehow.
This seems to be the last of them. For now. Hit the spot.
There's my map. There's only that little mini map in the top right. Later on you get some branching elevators. There might even be one here. Most intermediate levels seem to have a branch off to the side as well as the main one. There's no world sort of map or overview, so I don't really know how those levels interact, whether they're always the same. That would be another nice addition. Oh, that was bad.
I don't see anything.
That's what I keep doing, running too far because I'm too impatient. Pick up a medkit? No. the to-hit chances are a little bit off too. I've had some cases with multi-shot weapons, assault rifles, SMGs, that sort of thing, where it says I have a greater than 100% chance to hit, and then some of the shots miss. So I think there must be some sort of hidden stats in the background. Either that or it's just buggy. I guess either's possible for an early access game. Yeah. Sounds good, but if you compare it to that, it only does less than half the damage. The ranges are similar. It's not too bad. But I think I'll just stick with the revolver. Okay, I have enough 9mm now to stop bothering too much with the extra pistols. Inventory size is so limited always at the start, I tend to... Normally I'd get hunker down, but as I'm having trouble finding medkits and I'm almost dead, I better get Iron Man to get the extra hit points. Bit of a freeze there. That's weird. That's what I like.
Fuck yes.
God. So that's my favourite 44 weapon. We can get some assault rifles later on. I tend to not use the shotguns much. They're the only... Oh no, I was going to say they're the only splash weapon I found, but actually I found a rocket launcher as well. I need some more 44 ammo. Wish you could unload weapons.
Yes. Oh, I needed that.
Aha, there we go. Terminal.
See you in hell, fuckers.
I don't much like the Valhalla terminal, so I'll just keep going. I don't even know if there's any benefit to taking the alternate path. I'm supposed to have a 30% chance to hit. It's 4 that have missed in a row. 5, 6. Wow. You might notice that dodge value down the bottom. That's a nice little addition they've made to the genre, where if you shoot just after moving, you actually, whatever action you take next, you get that dodge value. Works pretty well. There's a skill that makes it better too. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually work well enough to really make a big difference to the way you play. I had one game where I focused on that, and I still ended up playing basically the same game.
Finally. That hit the spot. Floor is empty. That seems to be the last of them, for now. Oh, redecorator.
Oh no, that was a bad idea.
Out of ammo. Reload.
Wonder why our rocket launcher does slashing damage. Seems a little bit weird. SMG does 5 shots, 6 each. This is up a lot of ammo. I usually stick with the pistol. Ah. Come on. Don't have enough ammo for this. Missed. Ah.
Out of ammo. No room.
So, there you have it. I didn't get very far that time either. Still didn't find any armor. So yeah, there's a fair bit of variation in the skills that you can pick and the abilities, but ultimately all they do is add little bits and pieces to your character. They don't really change the playstyle very much. And I think that's what I'm really missing here, is the variation in what you can actually do in the game. So there's only a very limited number of enemies. You've seen almost all the enemies I've seen already. I've played for I don't know, 7 or 8 hours now. There's a few robots and boss type creatures later on. Maybe they change as you get down further, or maybe there's still more forthcoming. But yeah, there's limited enemies, limited characters, limited weapons. It's like the same thing over and over again, and a roguelike game shouldn't be like that. It needs more variation in order for me to be able to say, yes, go out and grab it for $25 or whatever it costs. So anyway, I'm sorry I've rambled on a bit too much. That is Jupiter Hill from ChaosForge. Keep an eye on it. Check out my review on Save or Quit and on the Steam store page. And please check in with me, genkipro, again. Thank you.